Marlene Dietrich is a legendary actress and singer who conquered Hollywood but became a traitor to her homeland. Why did Germany turn its back on her, and why was she hated in her native land? In this video, we will analyze how she turned from a symbol of beauty and elegance into an enemy of the people. Maria Magdalena Dietrich was born in 1901 in Germany. As a child, she was not interested in movies. She wanted to become a musician and studied violin. Parents dreamed that the daughter will perform in the best concert halls in Europe, but fate ordered otherwise. One day, Maria badly damaged her arm, so much so that she had to forget about her career as a violinist. It was a terrible blow, but it was then that she decided to try her hand at acting. She changed her name to Marlene Dietrich to sound mysterious and elegant. This was her first step to future fame. Marlene's first roles were small and unnoticeable, but in 1930 everything changed. She was offered the lead role in the movie Blue Angel, where she played the femme fatale singer Lola Lola. Her image, long legs, deep gaze, and hoarse voice won the audience. The movie became a sensation, and Marlene instantly turned into a star. After the success in Germany, Marlene was invited to Hollywood. At the time, it was an incredible chance. German actresses almost did not receive such offers. She signed a contract with the studio Paramount and went to America. Hollywood made a real icon out of her. In those years was popular Greta Garbo, but Dietrich created a completely new image. A cold, independent woman who chooses whom to love and what way to go. But at the moment when she conquered Hollywood, in Germany came to power Adolf Hitler. He was delighted with her image in Blue Angel and personally offered her to become the main actress of the Third Reich. Dietrich was to return to Germany, star in propaganda films, and become the face of Nazi culture. She didn't just receive an official invitation from the propaganda ministry. Hitler personally tried to persuade her to return. Through his representatives, he promised her $1 million contract to star in the best German films, a luxurious life and the status of a national heroine, and the full patronage of the state. But Marlene made a choice that changed her life. She refused. Her words were unequivocal. "I hate the Nazi regime." It wasn't just a refusal, it was a challenge, and that decision made her an enemy to millions of Germans. This refusal cost her a huge amount of money. $1 million in those years was an empire. With that money, you could buy a palace, live in luxury, and never work again. But Marlene was not seduced by wealth. She chose America and applied for U.S. citizenship. This step was the point of no return. Germany no longer considered her its own. To some, she became a symbol of the fight against Nazism. To others, a traitor to her country. The Germans could not forgive her rejection. Films with her participation were banned. Her name was erased from the history of German cinema. But Marlene did not just leave. She began to actively oppose the Nazis, support immigrants, and help fleeing Jews. In 1941, the United States entered the Second World War. Marlene didn't just support the U.S. Army, she went into the thick of the fighting. Instead of acting in movies, she performed for soldiers on the front lines to keep their morale up. She toured more than 500 military bases, hospitals, and forward positions in Europe and North Africa. Her concerts were held a few kilometers from the front line, under threat of bombing. The soldiers adored her. She didn't just sing, she talked to them, listened to their stories, joked, and helped the wounded. In 1944, when the German counteroffensive began, she was performing in the Ardennes. She was evacuated at the last minute. Otherwise, she would have been captured by the Nazis, who would have probably executed her as a traitor. Another shocking fact: Marlene slept in army tents, bathed in ice water, and ate the same food as the soldiers. She did not claim privileges, although she was able to stay in safe rear areas. After the war, the U.S. praised her contributions. She became one of the few women to be awarded the Medal of Freedom, one of America's most prestigious honors. But while she was honored as a heroine in the U.S., she was hated in Germany. In Germany, Marlene was called an American puppet. Newspapers wrote that she sang for the enemy and went against her blood. After the war, in polls, 80% of Germans said they did not want her in Germany. In her homeland, she received threats and heard insults directed at her. After the war, Dietrich did not come to Germany for a long time. She knew she was not loved there. But in 1960, 15 years after the defeat of the Nazis, she decided to perform in Berlin. She hoped that Germans had changed their minds in the meantime, that emotions had subsided. But she was wrong. Already at the airport, she was met not by fans, but by protesters. On the streets of Berlin, people threw garbage, eggs, and insults at her. For most Germans, she remained the woman who betrayed her homeland. People in Germany did not want to see her as a heroine. They couldn't forget how she refused to work for Hitler, how she supported the American army, spoke in front of their soldiers, and became a symbol of a foreign country that defeated Germany. She was not seen as their own. To them, she was an American propagandist, not a great German actress. When she walked down the streets, people turned around and whispered. Posters with her name on them read, "Get out." Marlene tried to establish relations with Germany. She even said, "I didn't betray Germany, I betrayed the Nazis." But most Germans didn't care. To them, she was still someone who had chosen to side with the enemy. After this arrival, Dietrich never returned to Germany again. When asked if she considered herself a German, she said, "Not anymore." She did not accept German honors, and for the rest of her life said that her country had turned its back on her. After her scandalous return to Germany, Marlene finally severed ties with her homeland. She moved to Paris and practically stopped going out in public. The last 10 years of her life, she did not leave the apartment. She hardly socialized with anyone except her daughter and a few friends. She was still a legend, but she felt unwanted. Germany didn't want her, and Hollywood had forgotten about her. Marlene Dietrich died on May 6, 1992, at the age of 90. And then there was an unexpected turn. In her will, she wrote, "Bury me in Germany." She asked that her body rest in Berlin, the city where she was born and which she never forgot. It was her last step toward her homeland, even after all the resentment and hatred. Germany, which had considered her an enemy for so many years, suddenly changed its attitude. In 1993, Berlin named one of the squares in her honor, Marlene Dietrich Square. The authorities recognized that she had made a huge contribution to the history of art and freedom, but unfortunately, she did not live to see her forgiven.